Welcome to Heidi Relationships. Today, we'll read some more stories from Reddit. But before we start, I would really appreciate if you could subscribe to the channel, like the video if you enjoyed it, and maybe leave a comment down below. That would help the channel a lot. Thank you very much in advance.
The first one is titled, "My weight loss is causing more intimacy and relationship issues in my marriage. I lost about 25 pounds over the last 4 months by eating healthy and working out. Now my wife wants to have intercourse with me all the time, at least once a day. Before this I had to beg her to make it happen twice a month. I am happy about the change, but I feel like she was lying to me before when she said her low intercourse drive had nothing to do with my appearance. It is getting to the point where I feel like she is treating me like an object. I know that sounds weird. What do I do? Should I confront her? I usually don't like to talk about intercourse." A user in the comments said, "It's possible that she honestly did not realize that your appearance was related to her lack of sex drive. Like someone else mentioned, you may also just have a different attitude that she finds more attractive. All that confidence in how good you look now. She also could be doing this to make you feel good about your change. Wouldn't it suck if she didn't really notice or appreciate your change in appearance at all?" Another user said, "It might be that the intercourse has improved since you're more fit and can presumably do more in bed or don't get as exhausted during intercourse. It might also be that you're acting more confident and that is turning her on more. Or, yes, it might be that you look more attractive and that is turning her on more. Note that I said more rather than at all. It may well be that she loved you just as much before, but the healthier you do more for her now visually. It might not be any ill intent or deception on her part. Or she may have been telling you about a white lie before and didn't want to hurt your feelings. If your wife's weight turned you off, would you outright say that to her? Or would you encourage her to lose the weight more subtlety? Either way, the new you are clearly turning her on more, and it's no secret that, generally speaking, healthier looking people are more visually appealing. I don't see why you have to confront her since this isn't worth some kind of accusation. You could instead mention to her that you've noticed a rise in her sex drive recently and ask if she is aware if any other factors contributed to it and if your lower weight was a factor." The next one is titled, "Update. I confronted my wife about her increased libido since my weight loss and she confessed to having an affair. I read all your comments but didn't talk with her about it till last week. I am uncomfortable with these things, so I waited till right after one of our sexual encounters and just spilled my guts. I told her that I had noticed a big change in her libido, and I liked it, but I wanted to know why it changed. I told her about my weight loss theory and then went on to explain how I was insecure about my body till recently, so maybe, as some of you suggested, her sex drive was just responding to that. Then she just broke down. She cried and confessed that she had an affair for over a year. She only recently broke it off. Her increased libido wasn't a change, this was just the first time it had been directed at me. I let her explain for about 20 minutes until I just couldn't take it anymore. I stormed out of the house, and I have not been back in a week. She has called me hundreds of times and has showed up at my office looking for me all this week. I don't want to talk to her yet. I am not sure what I am going to do. I know the standard Reddit advice, but none of it is applicable to me. I have already been hitting the gym. I am a lawyer, not a divorce lawyer, but there are attorneys at my firm that do divorce and family law. And I don't have a Facebook account." The next one is titled, "Final Update. I was the guy who lost weight and then found out his wife was cheating on him. I wanted to give you all one final update. I have received many encouraging messages from people that read my posts, and reading your words of encouragement got me through a very rough time. First of all, since this is the question I get the most, I am in the process of getting a divorce. The wife and I had a pre-nup with a fidelity clause, so I are looking at keeping about 75% of our collective assets. I want to settle as soon as possible so I can move on, but I get the feeling she wants to drag this out as long as possible. I finally decided to contact her about 2 weeks after I initially stormed out. We decided to meet up at my hotel to talk. She came over and we talked for about 4 hours. I knew it was over before she even came over, but I get the feeling she came over with the intention of convincing me to stay with her. She apologized dozens of times and told me the story of how her affair started. I don't exactly blame her for the initial infidelity. If I am being honest, I was emotionally unavailable during some of that time because of high stress at work and the death of my father. But the length of her affair and the continual lying she had to do to keep it going have convinced me that I could never trust her again. Our conversation that day ended very awkwardly. There was a lull about 4 hours in when I think both of us were exhausted from talking and shouting. She took that opportunity to try to make a move on me. I rebuffed her sexual advance and that made her start crying. It was really sad. She was bawling but still offering to give me a BJ or whatever I wanted. I think I can count on one hand the number of BJs I have gotten from her in the last year. This was not like her. This was sad, desperate, and unattractive. I made her leave. I have not directly spoken to her since. On a personal level, I am generally coping okay. I have basically thrown myself into work to avoid being lonely. I moved into a new condo last week. I know, condo sounds bad, but this is in a high-rise with a great view. I have been maintaining my fitness regimen and have even started marathon training. I am not officially dating anyone, but I have been on a few dates with a friend from law school. Word about my divorce traveled fast because I instantly got calls from many of my friends offering their support. It turns out many people also knew about the infidelity. No one that was extremely close to me knew, but it still hurts that so many people out there were in on something that made me look so foolish. The next one is titled, I Ada for moving my kids 1.5 hours away from my parents? 5 years ago, I, 33, had a bad divorce with 2 small kids. Father is not in the picture and will likely never be, as it stands. I temporarily moved in with my parents to get back on my feet. In that time, my parents, kids, and I relocated across the country. Once here, we got a house to share and split everything 50-50. My parents are retired and have not made efforts to branch out. I've gotten a grad degree, friends, a great job. After 3 years of being single, focusing on my kids, I began seeing someone around 1 year ago. He, 35, has a great career, excellent with my kids, and we're discussing marriage. In the past months, my boyfriend, kids and I moved in together and we're happy. In the past, there were boundary issues with my parents. While my dad let me parent, my mom was very critical. I feel I'm a devoted parent, and other friends, family tell me I do a great job. My mom crosses boundaries often, and it's been noticed many times by friends and family. She can be controlling and is used to us abiding. An example would be calling me crazy and being very upset that I took the kids on vacation 5 hours away. They had a blast. Now, an opportunity has presented for my boyfriend and I to relocate to a smaller town 1.5 hours away. My boyfriend is successful in a unique line of work that's very geographically limited, and has turned down offers to live abroad, petitioning for a location closer to where we are now so my kids can stay close to family. This move is not entirely optional for him to maintain his position. My job is flexible, the town has good schools, is safer and easier living. The kids are excited and had no concerns seeing their grandparents less days per week. My parents would go from seeing the kids before, after school to on the weekends. I broke the news to my family and they are furious. I assured them we'd be back to the city almost all weekends, and they could visit any time. They told me they never would have moved here if they knew we'd be an hour and a half away. They were devastated, and felt used and abused. I never would have accepted their help if I knew I'd be expected to live within a certain radius indefinitely. I feel like I owe them for their support when I was going through the worst time of my life. I love my parents and will be forever grateful for their help. Right now, their weekday revolves around the kids. They don't have hobbies, friends, jobs, so I know it's an adjustment. I feel this is the best move for us, the kids, our careers, and peace of mind. I see a future with my boyfriend. He fought to be close to us, and is committed to me and 2 kids that aren't biologically his. I Ada for relocating? A user in the comments said, NTA. As the mother, if you feel this move will improve your and children's lives, then go for it. It may even force your parents to make friends, get some hobbies and enjoy a little freedom. This may even bring you closer as a family. Give the kids a chance to miss their grandparents and spend memorable quality time. Another user said, NTA. An hour and a half or not a long drive. You have no obligation to entertain your parents. Yes, they helped you, but that didn't come with terms and conditions of you having to live within a certain distance from them. The next one is titled, Update. IATA for moving my kids 1.5 hours away from my parents. First, I have to thank you all for helping me keep perspective on this when it all went down. I was so in the thick of it that the opinions of complete strangers were actually exactly what I needed. Long story short, not only did we not move 1.5 hours away, but we also ended up 1,500 miles away. When the pandemic affected both of our jobs, the original move from the original post never happened. After the reaction I received to that move, when the time came to discuss options after our world turned upside down in 2020, I didn't have the capacity to account for anyone's wishes but mine, my partner, and my kids. Trying to placate others with the original move got me nowhere, and things actually got worse with the control, disrespect. I started looking at the situation critically and realizing how damaging it was that my life as a grown adult was an apparent open forum for the whole family. While I never wanted to hurt them, I also saw the writing on the wall if I kept allowing that dynamic. One day during the quarantine, I had a major realization. I didn't want to grow old and look back on a life I didn't recognize. I had made so many decisions by default. People-pleasing and letting myself be swayed from what would be best for me by other people's interests. I didn't want to live one more day compromising. We ended up moving to a beautiful city and getting jobs with a lot more security. Bought our dream house. The kids are thriving. I stopped living trying to please everyone else. I received a huge amount of blowback but stood my ground. Cut back contact majorly. Started talking to a counselor. I had no idea how badly everything was affecting me, and I feel so much better. I don't know why I felt compelled to post again. I guess it's part gratitude for Reddit helping to affirm what I felt and giving me the guts to change the way things were going. Another part is hoping that anyone reading this in a similar situation finds the strength to change. If you are an adult, making healthy and safe choices for your family, please don't let yourself be manipulated by other motives. Don't allow unspoken social contracts to guilt you into situations that make you anything less than happy. The next one is titled, IATA for refusing to return my late wife's ring to the family. I, F30, married my wife, F36, a year ago. We had been together 6 years, married for 1 before she passed away. It has been a really rocky time for me, and I am still struggling but getting there, day by day. My wife had been closing with her grandmother when she was growing up, and when she passed away her grandmother left a beautiful ring which had been in the family for generations. My wife used this ring to propose to me and it also became my wedding ring. I have worn it every day since she gave it to me, and it is truly my most precious item from her. It feels like she is with me always, and when I look at it, it brings my heart some happiness to remember our time together. My wife even spent money on the ring to get it restored as it had a few cosmetic faults, but by doing this it more or less doubled the value too. It is very unique and shaped like a snake with a diamond in its head and rubies for the eyes. The diamond was cracked, and the blue enamel needed repairing, which she did before proposing. My Bill has now decided to propose to his girlfriend, and he wants to use the snake ring as their grandmother wanted the ring to be used as an engagement ring for when one of her grandchildren wanted to marry, a first-come first-serve situation. Although it was never really expected her granddaughter would be doing the proposing, it was always assumed the boys would offer it to their GFS, but my wife got there and did it first, and that was that. It was never really questioned either, as my wife and she had been so close too. Nobody had any objections at the time as the ring was still within the family and neither of my Bills were anywhere near getting engaged. I refused to give the ring back, and now I have caused a huge rift with my family-in-law. My Mill and Bills are all calling me in awe as they want the ring to continue being part of their family and to be passed down in the generations as it was expected to. I am distraught. My wife and I were not big sentimental gift givers, and this is honestly the only thing she was truly proud to gift me. It was a huge deal for us and meant the world to both of us. My family-in-law have also thrown in my face that the grandmother wouldn't even have wanted me to have it since she was Russian and would very much be against a same-sex couple. This really hurts and feels like a low blow, as although it's definitely true I was accepted my family-in-law. The grandmother had long been gone before I met my wife. They are now saying that it should go to the boys as she intended. It's all got really nasty, and I just don't know what to do. The family have even offered to buy the ring off me for the full value of the ring with the repairs, but I refuse. It is the only thing I have of my wife, and parting with it feels like the only piece I have left of my broken heart being taken away. Aida. Edit. Oh, I wasn't expecting such a huge response from this, and I wanted to thank everyone for your replies. I'm working through them. I just wanted to give you all a bit more information based on some of your comments. No, my wife and I did not have children. Grandma definitely wouldn't have accepted the relationship. She was very old-fashioned, shall we say. There are lots of comments about leaving the ring in my will, which I think is a great idea. I hadn't been able to think clearly since this all happened because I felt stricken with grief again after the shock of being asked. I am going to speak with Mill and Bill ASAP and see if I can offer the ring to Bill's future children in my will. I don't want to part the family from the ring, but I don't want to part with it in my lifetime, so I'm hoping this can be resolved. I will post an update as soon as I have spoken to everyone. For those who have mentioned about giving it up if I remarry, I couldn't possibly answer this question at this point in time. My grief is blinding. To think about loving anybody else in this world feels absolutely impossible. The next one is titled, Update, Aida for refusing to return my late wife's ring to her family. It's been a while and I thought it would be a good opportunity to update you on my situation. Since my last post, my Sil and I have talked regarding the ring. She has been my mediator and we were always good friends. She agreed from the beginning I should keep the ring. We met up to discuss things and face to face. Without the pressure of the rest of the family breathing down my neck, we were able to discuss the ring and its future. I told her about my Reddit post and the advice I had been given, and that I would be very happy to leave the ring in my will for the first niece or nephew born to the family, so that it'll go back to the family eventually. I told my Sil between her and I that if I remarry at some point and I feel I am able to part with it, then it may be sooner, but I definitely didn't want that in writing. I said I am happy to draw up said contracts, will and relevant copies for this agreement before my departure. Sil totally agreed with the proposal, and once the business side of Convoy was out the way, she told me what was the spark that lit this horrendous fire. Phil never got on with my late wife, and especially not me. The ring is from his side of the family. He has a very greedy nature, and although he despised his mother, he despised the fact that something of value that he deemed his inheritance has been taken away from him. That, and he is openly homophobic too. He hated my late wife for it, and apparently when he found out what his mother's wishes for the ring was, he lost his mind, even though he is an only child and inherited a small fortune from her. After my wife passed, he saw it as an opportunity to get the ring back and harassed the family to get it back no matter what it takes. Sil said Bill doesn't even want it for his fiancée, but they are all scared of Phil, and he would make Mil's life hell. Sil said she is so glad that I am moving home to be with my family. We shared a lot of tears, and it was so good to talk about my wife with her. Luckily and hopefully for all of us, Sil shouldn't be too long before she has her first child with her husband, as they've just started trying. Sil and I talked again over the phone after the relevant information was relayed to the family. Apparently Phil is still raging, but she said she could see in her Bill and Mill relief on their faces. Apparently Phil really lost his mind when she told him I'm moving back home, believing the ring will be lost forever, even though the paperwork etc. is all getting in order nicely now. I wanted to finish this by thanking everyone for your kind words, especially relating to losing my wife. She would have been so touched to have seen so many supportive, kind people out there. It's been a very dark time for me, but knowing there are good people out in the world gives me much hope. This is the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed the relationship stories. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video and write a comment. I really appreciate your support and it helps my channel so much. Thank you.